So welcome back everyone. Once again, this is Kevin from CSMI in Australia. Today going to share another video on the F1650 crane from Farsi. Now, if you have not seen the first video, I've just shown it where it's come out of the box. This is the second video where I'm going to show you outside the box and talk about the main components about the crane and a little bit of detail on it. So let's get straight into it. So as usual, if you have any question or comments, you can email us at info@csmi, or you can actually visit the website, which is csmi.com.au. This crane and all the other models can be purchased from the website if you are interested. I'm going to put the radio off in the background because that's what's beeping over there. All right, let's get straight into the crane. Now, I'll go from the top and then go through all the components. You've got the auxiliary connections up here because there is an additional boom section which I will talk about in detail further. This is the boom section, and that clips on, and it's got the auxiliary lines up here, and those lines get hooked in. So that's what that is for. You got a telescopic section up here for the crane. You can see it's got beautiful hose retract cable tray system. So when it actually retracts, it does go into a loop and it goes into the tracks, which then goes into the carrier. Beautiful detail. The hoses are a bit stiff, and hence they don't loop perfectly. You may, from the aesthetic perspective, as you can see, but if you move it down, they sit perfectly in their tray, you know. But that's just because the hose is so stiff that the retracting system just can't take the stiffness, but they do sit in perfectly well. It is very complicated to assemble this crane. It doesn't come as a kit. It comes fully assembled because there's multiple O-rings of different sizes that have to go in different locations. That's why it comes in as a kit. And I'll go into more details about the construction of the hydraulic cylinders as you go towards the narrow end of the crane or the pointy tip. Dual rams, both for the first main boom and the secondary boom. It does have a hydraulic rotary valve, which means the crane can rotate endless number of times without having to worry about the hoses getting stuck. And you have to turn it clock or anti-clockwise. There is a lot of pipe work that actually takes the profile just like the hydraulic lines in real life, and that's pretty interesting, the way that the detail that's gone into building it. Even the finest detail is there in this crane. I always wanted one of these, and now I'm in front of one of these because this is a big crane. It is pretty tall. It almost hits the ceiling from the floor. That's how tall it is with all the extension pieces. You do get a couple of hooks with the crane. I'll just bring the camera closer. A lot of detail even with the hook, like it swivels, you know, so it actually spins around. So there is a fair bit of detail in the hook. You have the guide wire that comes from the working winch. This is probably the first radio control model that has a working winch on a truck crane. So I think that's a great detail, especially when you want to lift something with a winch, you know. I think it's pretty handy. Inside up here, sorry for the shakes, guys, there is a hydraulic pump with a speed controller. You got a pressure relief valve. You got a return line from the block itself that goes back into the tank. So that's where all the hydraulics are situated. Now, I've only expanded one side of the outriggers, and I'll give you a rough idea how wide the outriggers are on one side. It almost doubles up on the other side. So it's about 220 millimeters, which is close to about 9 inches. So you got 9 inches on this side, you got 9 inches on the other. That's 18 inches. That's 440 mil, and then you got the width of the chassis itself, which is roughly about 6.5 inches or 160 millimeters. So it's quite a wide crane, you know, when you look at it. So that's to give you a rough idea, 9 plus 9, 18 and 6. That's 24 inches. So that is, you know, 2 feet. So it's about 360 mil wide, just the base or just the footprint. Let's go further up here. So you do have another set of outriggers, and this is actually the rear end of the crane. Now you can get a kit if you wanted outriggers on the front of your truck. You can buy a kit that mounts on to a standard Tamiya chassis, but this is on the back side of the crane. So if you're looking at the crane, that's what you see. This is the rear end, this is the rear end, and this is the front end of the crane. That's how it's going to sit on a truck. So your truck's going to be facing this way. Details on the outriggers. Let me just get the camera closer. Now you can see it's got all the decals to show you just the real thing, and even the supports on the cylinder, you know, the outrigger platforms or the support centers. I mean, they are constructed just like the real thing. They got the serration, they got the reinforcement on them. It's just unbelievable the amount of time that's gone to design all these things and put it into practice. So this is where I was going to stop, and I'll show you some more detail on the tank itself. Let me get the camera a bit more closer. Here you can see the tank. There is a pressure gauge on the top there. And then you can also see there's a little cooler in the front, a full working functional cooler. So you got two tanks, but only one is functional. The other one is just a static tank. So that's where we're going to stop on this particular video. As usual, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at info@csmi.com.au or leave it below, and then we can answer those questions for you. Thanks for watching.